Let's be honest, the word teenager can bring up a lot. Challenges, conflict, maybe even a little bit of chaos. Today, we're diving deep into that world, looking at the choices teenagers make and that delicate dance they do with their parents.
And really, it all comes down to this one huge question that almost every parent of a teen faces. Should you be their friend, their buddy, or should you be the strict disciplinarian, the one who lays down the law? It's a question that can make you feel completely stuck between a rock and a hard place.
So, to really understand why this feels like such a high-stakes choice, we first need to step into a teenager's world and see just how much weight their decisions actually carry.
A really key idea here is something called role and goal. Now, this isn't just about what career they want someday. It's about having a real sense of who they are and what they're about right now. Because without that inner compass, it's so much easier to just focus on what feels good in the moment and not really think about what happens next.
And that leads right into another crucial skill, the ability to think broadly. This is way more than just knowing right from wrong. It's about being able to see the chain reaction, to understand that one small choice doesn't just end there. It kicks off a whole series of events.
This slide shows that chain reaction perfectly. You gotta picture it like throwing a stone into a pond. A seemingly small decision, like, say, blowing off studying because your friends are going out, that creates ripples. The first tiny ripple is the immediate hit to their grades, but those ripples keep spreading, affecting the peace at home, the family's finances, and eventually that teenager's own future and their confidence in themselves.
And this brings up a super important point. This isn't just about bad choices. Not at all. Even a fantastic decision, like getting into a dream college on the other side of the country, sends out ripples. Of course, it's something to be proud of, but it also means huge financial adjustments and a lot of emotional stress for the entire family. The whole dynamic changes.
So the real turning point, the thing we're looking for, is this big shift in thinking. A huge sign of maturity is when a teenager starts to move from that very natural, it's my decision, it's my life mindset, to a much bigger understanding. It's my decision, but it's our life. They finally see that they're part of a team, a family, that feels the effects of everything they do.
And recognizing that impact, well, it brings us right back to the parent struggle. When the stakes are that high, the pressure to get it right is just enormous. And that leads us to their central dilemma.
Okay, so on one hand, if you're too much of a friend, you're terrified they just won't take you seriously when it really counts. You're worried they'll just brush off your concerns. But if you swing the other way and you're too strict, the fear is that they'll just shut you out completely. They might rebel, or even worse, suffer through something awful in total silence because they're too scared to come to you. You see, it's fear on both sides.
It's really like walking a tightrope, isn't it? You're trying so hard to find that perfect balance between being someone they can talk to and being an authority figure. And it feels like one tiny misstep in either direction could send everything crashing down.
So, is there a way out of this? While there's no magic wand, the analysis does point toward a constructive way forward. And it's all about creating a dialogue instead of just imposing a bunch of rules.
What's really clear is that this is not a problem for a parent to figure out all by themselves. The goal has to be to get past the constant struggle and instead create a space, a platform for a structured, open conversation. It's about building a bridge, not putting up another wall.
And who needs a seat at that table? Well, first up, the teenagers themselves. They have to have a real chance to say what they think without being afraid they'll be immediately shut down. Second, the parents, so they can explain the why behind their worries and their rules. And third, and this is a real game changer, an expert or a counselor who can be a neutral guide.
The value of doing it this way is just huge. It completely transforms the dynamic. Instead of those usual screaming matches in the kitchen where old issues get dragged up and everyone's just blaming each other, you get a calm, guided, and focused environment. The whole point becomes understanding each other and finding a solution, not winning the fight.
Okay, so we've looked at the teenager's impact, the parent's dilemma, and a possible path forward. But as we start to wrap this up, there's one final unspoken ingredient that everything else really depends on.
What's so fascinating is that this next word is never really said out loud in the analysis. But when you look closely, every single piece of this puzzle, a teen feeling safe enough to talk, a parent trying to walk that tightrope, the success of a mediated discussion, it all comes down to one fundamental thing: trust. That's it. It's the foundation for absolutely everything. It's the mutual trust that allows for open communication in the first place. It's what gives a parent the confidence to find that balance, and it's what makes a teenager willing to see their choices as part of our life, not just my life.
And that really leaves us with a final thought, doesn't it? If the daily battles are all about rules and freedom, and the bigger dilemma is about being a friend versus an authority, maybe the real work, the most important work of all, is in building the foundation that has to hold all of that up.